I'm not too sure I should be actually advising on career planning, because I have done absolutely no career planning in my life. I ended up working at Marks and Spencer because I got fed up of being at school and I went on their management programme. I went into head office because I was scared they might send me to somewhere up north in the middle of nowhere and I couldn't go out with my friends in the evening, so I thought if I go into head office, into the buying departments in London, I would stay where I wanted to be. I ended up in the IT group because I went over to look at a job in the IT group and they took me down the pub at lunchtime and they made me laugh a lot. And I don't know if I should go on any further. I ended up doing computer security because I was doing a marketing job for the IT group at the time, and I was bored, and I said to the exec of the group, I don't like this very much anymore and you don't really like this role much either. So he said, do computer security. I said, what is it? He says, I've no idea, we've just been told we've got to do it. I ended up doing this job because I found a member of the IISP, I was on the board. We hadn't got a CEO at a particular point. They said, could you do it as an interim manager? That was 5 years ago. So everything I have to say about career planning, ignore me, because I'm not obviously very good at it. So that's my career, but I think the points that have come out of it is that I've sort of adapted to what's been needed, and I think we've had quite a lot of things today about adapting to changing requirements, understanding the business, understanding what people need from you, basically. And I think the thing is that you pick up a lot of skills whatever you do on the way, so nothing is ever wasted. Recycle, it's always good to be green and recycle, and really just adapt as the world changes around you. We've talked about the IISP. We're basically your professional body. Steve talked about that earlier. That's why we're here. We're here to help you develop your career, and that's something we feel very passionately about at the IISP, and that's why we've really, really built up the student membership over the last 2 years. Most of you are members because your universities are academic partners of the IISP, and we want to help you with your onward journey. Apart from helping individuals, we also help organisations dealing with the skills shortage, and I can come back to that very quickly. We've already talked about the government taking our skills framework to underpin the CESG certified professional scheme. Also the syllabus, is it syllabuses or syllabi? I never know. Syllabi, okay, that's great. The syllabi for university degrees and masters. And Steve's been very, very core in making that happen. We talked a little bit about the academic partner programme, is that we want to work with universities that have got security or cyber related degrees and masters, and to help people that are going through that process with their careers going onwards. Training, we work with training organisations to accredit training courses. Again, what we want to do is to see what good looks like. So training organisations submit their courses to us. We look to see that they do what they say they do, and the quality of the materials is good, because there's a lot of not such good training material out there. So if you see one of our courses, you'll know that it's a quality course. We don't run the training, we just accredit it. And then we play nicely with all the other bodies that have got I's and A's and S's and P's and all the things in the acronyms there. So everything is aimed at developing security professionals. So that's what we do. We've got levels for everybody, and this is where we want to work with you with your careers going forward, is that everybody enters either as a student or an affiliate. And what we want to do is that we want you to take your membership when you leave university, and you can keep your membership at an affiliate level, but at a student rate. So for 20 quid, which is a total bargain, it's barely a round of drinks, you can stay with the Institute and you can take advantage of all of the events and programmes that we have. Once you've got a bit more experience, we would like you to try and work through the accreditation levels, and you can read them as well as I can say them on the board there. So we've already had one fellow here today. That's somebody with outstanding achievement, but what we'd like to do is we'd like to work with you to get to associate level within 2 to 5 years of getting out into the business. Aligned to that, you've got the CCP scheme, which is the more government-focused scheme, and Steve and Mike talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to go over that side, but it's just a little bit more specific. But the thing that I really want to bang the drum about is charter. Charter, I think, is going to be a big game changer. We've had people talking before about the fact that you'd go to a chartered accountant, you'd go to a chartered engineer for things. You will be becoming chartered security people, I think, very, very soon. The reason that I'm saying that is that bedtime reading there, the little document of, I don't know, how many pages is it? 200 pages?
A fair few.
Enough, basically. It talks about the fact that they've said, and these are just lifted from that document, developing the cybersecurity profession, including achieving Royal Charter status by 2020. So you can read those bullet points, that the government is taking it very, very seriously. We have just submitted an application for charter status, which we were asked to do. So we've no idea where that's going. It has to go to the Privy Council. We don't know how long these things take. We assume that we're going to be the body that's going to be doing it. But chartered status, the government are working to get a chartered institute for cyber and security professionals by 2020. Big game changer. So we talked about the skills gap. I don't need to say any more about that. Is that you're in a really, really good place because you shouldn't be out of work. You know, there should be plenty of work out there. The world should be your lobster or your oyster, depending on how you feel about it. So employers have got a real dilemma, and that's our sort of kit to help them, basically. It's just bang your head here. What the heck are you supposed to do to sort of sort yourself out? Because they've got to get the best bang for their buck, basically. So it's difficult. What do people need to do? So they need to think, organisations need to think about how they want to structure their security function and what works for them, because it's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. So people need to think about how they need to structure themselves, how they want people to work, what's the best bang for your buck, and all of those sort of things. So what we're trying to do is to work with them to get them to think about what do they want to keep in-house, and often that's a risk advisor, might be awareness. It's going to be different for every organisation. But there are certain things that you may not want to have an in-house function for, because it's something like pen testing. It's maybe something that you don't need to have a core team for, but you want to have an organisation that pen tests for you. Similarly, you may not want to actually do it at all, is that you may want to put something out to a SOC that is provided for you. So when you're looking at organisations, look at how they're actually structuring themselves, because it may be that you want to work for a specialist organisation that provides SOC services or pen testing services. So there's some thoughts there really to take away on that one. Similarly, we've been talking about the fact of growing talent, and organisations have got to think about growing talent. We can't all be sort of hunting after this 3 to 5 year experienced person. So I think the timing is actually good for you guys, because people are recognising that they cannot just go and buy pre-shrunk security people off the shelf anymore. There's just not enough of them there. So they need to look at graduate programmes, apprenticeship programmes. BT are doing some fantastic work with apprenticeship programmes at the moment. They also need to look at harnessing people from the other areas of business. We've talked a lot about business acumen and understanding what the business needs. They need to look at non-technical security people to help fill some of those gaps as well. And they need to look at sort of upskilling people, so that if people have got a sort of 80% of something, so that you could say, right, they've got a lot of the skills that I want, but they may not have all of them. You need to present yourself in a way that somebody says, they've got capability, they've got potential. We're willing to invest in those people to actually bring them up to the level that we need. So there's a lot of things to really think about in that sense. Also, because there is a supply and demand thing going on here, actually they need to prove to you that they are employers of choice. They're people that you want to work for as well. So there's a lot of things changing really in the way that organisations are working. But we still have this chicken and egg programme, is that people tend to want to have people that have got experience, they haven't got the time to develop people, they develop people, then they disappear off because they can get a job for more money, they don't get developed and therefore they disappear off because they want to go and work for another organisation. So there's quite a lot of difficulty within the environment at the moment, and that's from your colleague Mark, who's provided with that stat. So there's quite a few issues for organisations, but you need to stand out in the crowd. Mankini is a wonderful way of doing this. But I think we've talked a lot about that from different people. We should have given you a mankini in your goodie bag, obviously. But it's basically, you need to make yourself, oh God, that thing's not copyrighted. You need to stand out from the crowd. You've got to take charge of your career. Nobody else can do that for you at the end of the day. And I think you need to understand about how you develop. And that's the one message that I want to try and leave you with this afternoon. And I know it's not easy, and I think that coming back to my career of sort of being given weird and wonderful jobs along the way, is that security pathways are not necessarily straightforward, but take opportunities as they come to you, because everything is useful. You can always recycle stuff afterwards. And that you may end up being given something you don't particularly want to do at that stage, but stick with it, work through it, see what you can gain from it and what you can take going forward. And yes, you may be struggling to get the opportunities, but I mean, you've just got to stick with it and make yourself attractive. And we've talked a lot today about how you make yourself attractive. That it's everything from getting onto LinkedIn, it's everything from sort of doing some work on a voluntary basis. It's all of those things to make yourself more marketable. We've also talked about the fact that you've got these very technical strengths, and then you've got the things about understanding the business. And what I'd like you to think about is, what sort of person are you? Which way do you want to go? Because some people are really interested in doing technical work. We agree that you've got to have the business understanding as well, but you need to think of the route that you want to go down, or whether you want to be a combination of the two. Because there are so many different career paths that are out there, that actually the world's your oyster or lobster, basically, and you can go in whichever direction, but you need to be making a conscious decision about whether you want to go down a very technical route or whether you want to go down an interactive route. The skills framework is hopefully something that we can give to help you do that. Steve talked about the skills framework earlier. Basically, it covers all of the different disciplines that you'll get within the security profession. And on your chairs, you should have a two-sided piece of paper that's got the skills framework on it. And I'd like you to do some work on that, probably not now, but when you go home this evening or whenever. But basically, it covers all of the different areas of the profession, and then you've got the levels from being a very, very experienced practitioner right down to somebody that's just got a basic understanding of that particular area. And what I want you to do is to score yourself against that, that it's being taken up by all areas of the profession. It was developed with industry, government and academia. It's being used by government to develop syllabi. It's being used by government to develop the CESG certified professional scheme. We use it to assess individuals for professional membership. We use it to accredit training courses. So it's becoming the de facto way of benchmarking people. So it's very good for you to become familiar with it and to use it in your career development. And it's just had a refresh, so it's bang up to date. It's got all of the things like psychology and behavioural things in there as well, so it's quite comprehensive. So here's your homework, is that what I want you to do is to take that piece of paper home and score yourself against it and look at where your skills lie, basically, where you think you are now, and where you would like to be in 5 years' time, or you can even break it down to 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, whatever it is that you want to do. But look at it and use it to plan your career journey, because you need to look at the areas that appeal to you. So it may be that you love security management type things. It may be you hate that. It may be that you like doing the security development side, so you probably want to be involved in the Cs. So you need to understand who you are and where you want to go with your career and map that against the skills framework. And it's a very powerful way of you being able to drive your career. What can help you? Okay, we've talked a lot about changing skills, the skills shortages, where people are earning mega bucks, where people are getting into interesting work, all of those sort of things. There's some things out there to help you. And we've talked about the EY survey on what EY have been seeing. You've got the Acumen, I know I shouldn't say that with you. You'll get very upset. Other recruiters are available. Barclay Simpson do a very good report.
Very good.
There we go, I've saved myself. But there are lots of reports out there as well, and you talked about the Kaspersky one this morning. You talked about reference documents. Look at what's out there to help you to find out where the market's going, and then draw it back to your skill set and your development. You need to understand what is really involved as well, and this is a great website. It's inspirecareers.com, and they have a load of daily live videos on there, so you can actually see what it means to be a pen tester at a junior level, at a senior level. You know, you've even got me on there running an institute, sort of saying what my day in the life is. But they're being built up, and it gives you a sort of feeling about what it actually means to do that role and what's involved. And you may look at the day in the life video and think, ugh, I don't want to do that, that's horrible. But it gives you a sort of framework to work to within that. And we've talked again about the alphabet spaghetti that is out there in terms of different, what's it, being certified or certifiable or something. But it's looking at which badges are good to support you with your career, and they won't be the same depending on what you want to do. You know, if you want to go into security management, CISM is really good because that bolsters onto that. If you want to be an auditor, ISO 27001, you know, is a good thing to have. And again, there are other things available. So again, it's understanding what is appropriate for your career. And what we're also saying is that get recognition through the IISP, because that's a generalist banner that will be able to go over the differing alphabeti spaghetti, that it just draws it all together. Another website to have a look at is InfoSec Skills, because they've got some sort of development pathways on there as well. So it's again pointers for you to look at where you can go. I think everybody's touched on this as well. It's about getting involved with the community and the security community, but also the general community in many ways. Is that mentoring is really, really good. Is to just find people that can help you talk about your career and maybe the direction that you should be able to go into. If you're going to things like ISP events, you're bound to meet up with experienced practitioners that can actually help you with your career. But I'd also like to say something about reverse mentoring, because I think there's a whole thing about that coming up at the moment. It's about giving back to the community and giving back your skill to other people. So if you're trying to break into the security arena, I actually think voluntary work is really good for that, because if you can help an organisation to look at their problems, you can put it onto your skills framework assessment and say, well, actually, I've done this work. It was a charity, I didn't get paid for it, but I did a risk assessment on them. I fixed some really serious problems for them. And it's real life experience. So think about reverse mentoring as well as mentoring yourself. Use the ISP. That's what we're here for. We want to be able to help you to develop your careers. So go to the branch meetings. The London branch, which I think a lot of you are in the London area, is very, very healthy. The Devonford people, there's a really good branch in the East Midlands that runs between, I think, you and Nottingham University, so get involved in that. And then also contribute to Pulse. We do things where we encourage students to actually contribute about some work that they've been doing. Get yourself published. You know, again, it looks really good on your CV if you're actually putting yourself out there. We had a congress as well, so when you become members of the IISP, you get a 50% discount on that. So it's £75 to go and get some fabulous training for a day. So get involved in the community. Networking is a really, really big thing in our industry, and if you can build your networks, and quite honestly, you can probably go out every night of the week in London and get drunk at some securities expense. So, not saying anything there, but you know, is that there is a lot of networking opportunity out there, and you don't have to pay for most of it either. It's just a question of identifying what it is that you want to go to and what it is you're interested in. If you're interested in architecture, you know, you've got your own WASPs and all of those sort of things. So, horses for courses. So how am I doing, Gabby? Am I getting this back on track? Yay, that's good. I won't even need that. Okay, so really, it's your career. These are the messages I want to leave you with. It's continuous development. It never stops. If you look at somebody like Mike Humphrey, he's doing a PhD at the moment. He doesn't need to do a PhD. He wants to do a PhD because he's really interested in a particular subject. And he's a really busy man, as you saw this morning, but he really wants to do that. So you never stop learning because the whole of this profession is changing so quickly. If you go back to where I started, you know, in security, the first thing I did was sort of viruses, and it was all boot viruses and then email viruses and things like that. It's gone way, 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 way beyond anything that I used to have to cope with in those early days. So you need to keep your learning up. You need to keep abreast of things. So there's lots of reading, there's lots of really making sure that you keep on top of it. Understanding your worth and strengths, and again, that's where the skills framework can help you with your career, but that's where looking at the all of the papers and things that are out there that can help you as well, to understand where the skills market is going, where you sit with that, and the benchmarking surveys on salaries will help you understand how much you should be paying, or aspirationally what you could be earning at a particular point. And keep an eye on the skills market that we've covered really. Demonstrate your skills through accreditation. It's really important that you get your accreditations because it's about getting the right badges and about getting the right experience so that you can demonstrate that you've got the learning. So as Steve said at the beginning of the day, a security person is about knowing stuff but showing that they can apply it and working with particular attributes of being very, very professional. And if you look at our skills framework, if you look at the J skills, they're about the soft skills, and there's 3 there basically. One is about working in teams, leadership and influencing. The second one is about understanding the business. And the third one is about communicating and job sharing and knowledge sharing. And you've got to take those 3 tenets with you, through all of your career basically. And build your networks, which we've talked about. But the most important thing is enjoy what you do. If you don't enjoy what you do, you will be procrastinating. Thank you for coughing at that point, that's even swearing. But no, if you enjoy what you do, you're more likely to be successful. And I think that's the main thing. We work long enough, we work long hours, most of us, and that's why a lot of us are actually really good friends because we know each other very well, we work hard and we play hard together. So that's me, basically, and thank you to all the other speakers for saying everything so I didn't have to.